Hey everybody, it's Paul and it's Two Bears Homestead. We're outside today. Today I broke down the Greenstalk. I wanted to give it a refresh because it's kind of reached its peak and things were kind of browning out. It was just done. So it's very windy out today, so hopefully you can hear me. But I needed to get it done. It's time, and the rainy season is going to be upon us soon enough, so I want to kind of get a fresh going on it. I kind of already did it. I forgot to bring the camera along with me, so I'm going to kind of go and do a little bit of a recap with it. But essentially what I did was I just broke it down, just cleaned it up, and then I put some fresh potting soil on the top, kind of worked it in, top dressed it, and then I top dressed it with some worm compost. But that's what I had on hand. So here we go. And I'm looking like a little bit like a disco bear with this headband, but it's 90 degrees out here, so gotta stop the sweat. Because as you can see here, this is the full Greenstalk, and basically everything you see here, with the exception of the nasturtiums and some of the petunias and the parsley, are going to come out, and then I'm going to replant it. Maybe not today, but I have to figure out what's going to do well in this high heat in the Greenstalk. But here what I did was, here's one layer, and let me see if I can zoom this out a little bit. No, I can't. So what I did was I just took everything out of each section, and then I cut as much of the root in to stay as possible, because I wanted the roots to stay in there to decompose. And then I just went and I top dressed, like this is the parsley, so I went and I top dressed all the way around all the plants. This is one of the nasturtiums. It looks pretty healthy at the base of the plant, so I wanted to keep it and see how it did. Nasturtiums are notorious for not liking the high heat, but it's going to be in an area where it has a little bit more shade than it previously has gotten. I just can't leave this out in the driveway anymore. It's just entirely too much sun. And I just went and I top dressed it. You can see a little bit with the worm casings and the fresh potting mix. Now over here is all the stuff that I ripped out. So I'm going to chop this up, chop and drop it. And I am setting up my worm composting bin. So I want to save this stuff to throw in the worm composting bin. And then, enough with the drill, Robert. Jeez. So I'm going to save all this stuff for the worm composting, chop and drop it. I gave as much of this as I could to the parakeets, the rescue bird that I have, but they can only eat so much. There are only three little birds. And then over here is the different layers of the Greenstalk. So that one there was the top. This was the second layer. The one I just showed you was the third layer. And then these guys are all completely empty. So I'm going to go ahead and find something to put in there, and we'll see how it does through the early part of the summer. So I'll show you what it looks like when I put it back together, but this is going to be a pretty short one today. One of the things you want to make sure when you break your Greenstalk down is what I learned living in my other home, is you should break it down at least once a year, because what happens is in these middle drains that go between each layer, there's sediment that builds up. And what I'm going to do is, I don't know if it's going to come through on the video, but you can see the holes, not the big hole in the middle, but the little holes on the edges. Those get clogged up. So you want to make sure that you run, blast water through them and clean those holes up. So that's, these little guys right on the outside, those are the drains that trickle down to the next layer. So you absolutely want to make sure that you break it apart, and even if you don't refurb it every year, you break it apart and clean those things out and just reassemble it. It takes 10 minutes, but it's an important thing to keep that water flowing through the entirety of the Greenstalk. Okay, here it is put back together. Now what I might do is, while I'm looking for varieties of plants that'll be able to handle the heat, is I might actually go ahead and plant some bush bean seeds in here. Not so much for the harvest, although if I get a harvest that would be really nice, but I think for the soil purposes, the nitrogen fixing purposes of the root system. So that might be a thought. Plus it'll look pretty. But I don't want to have nothing in there. I do want to have something growing in there, and that's the important thing. So there you have it, the refurb of the Greenstalk. It's pretty simple. Just take it apart, clean it up, put some top dressing on there. I worked the soil a little bit, And the soil was in pretty good shape. It was only like 6 or 7 months old, so I wasn't overly concerned about the quality. But I wanted to rotate the layers because I know the top layer was getting more water and all those nutrients were working down. So I just wanted to kind of rotate that. So, but the nasturtiums, I think, I don't know if they're coming in. I think they'll bounce back. They have a will to live, it seems. And these petunias, I think they'll do all right. They, I'm giving him a chance. If you don't give him a chance, you never know. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for taking a ride along with the Disco Bear here. I know I look ridiculous with this headband, but I wear hearing aids, so I got to keep the sweat from running down in there. So the perks of middle age, I guess. But that's it. See you on the next one. Thanks again.